Hare Krishna. Welcome to our Sunday Bhagavatam class. Let's see, where did the verse go? Oh, there it is. Today we're going to be doing Srimad-Bhagavatam 1.9.36, first canto, chapter 9, text 36. It is Sunday, January 31st, 2021. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. So, this is Bhisma. Vyavahita pratana mukhang niriksha sajana vadhat vivukasya dosha buddhya kumati ngaharad atma vidyayajas charanarati paramasya tasya mestu. So, very interesting. So again, just explaining very briefly the structure of this Sanskrit sentence. The subject of the sentence is charanarati, which means attachment to or love for charana, the feet, paramasya, of the supreme, tasya, of that supreme, and meyastu, let there be, let me have. In Sanskrit, rather than using a verb to have, like I have or you have, they say, let there be of me, which means let me have. So let me have rati, attachment, love for the lotus feet of him, the supreme. And then, so then who is Krishna? The rest of the verses are explaining who is that supreme whose feet I want to have love for, attachment for. So the first thing, the first line, Vyavahita pratana mukhang niriksha, looking upon the face, mukham, or the front, or the face, looking upon the face of the opposing army. Pratana means army, and Vyavahita means the separated or opposing army. So looking out, actually niriksha, iksha means looking. So this niriksha, looking out upon the face of the opposing army, Swajana Vadhan Vimukasya. This is describing Arjuna, who was Vimuka. Mukha means face, so Vimuka means sort of looking away from, in the sense of not wanting to do something, Vimuka, from the killing of his own people, Swajana Vadhat. So from the killing of his own people, he was Vimuka. So in Sanskrit, Vimuka, of course, the word mukha, face, and then Vimuka means having the face averted, turning away from, in that sense, turning away, like literally turning your face away from something. It means you want, just turning away from it. So Arjuna was turning away from, or turning his face away from, the killing, vadhat, of his own people. And the reason he felt that way is dosha buddhya, by a sort of defective intelligence. Buddhya means with an understanding, with intelligence. Buddhya, which dosha, which was faulty, which was false. And so of that Arjuna who, looking upon the face of the enemy army, was looking away. In other words, trying not to, turning away from the killing of his own people due to his flawed intelligence. Of that Arjuna, Krishna, yes, the one who kumatim aharat, took away the wrong understanding. Mati, of course, means the mind or thought or conclusion, understanding from the verb man, to think, manas. And ku means bad, like ku yogi means a bad yogi or a false yogi. And so here we have ku mati, false consciousness. false understanding, a false conclusion. And so Krishna, aharat, he took that away from Arjuna. Kumati maharat atma vidyaya, and he took it away by knowledge of the self, knowledge of the supreme self, Krishna, knowledge of the individual soul. So this verse is saying simply that let my charanarati, let my love for the feet of the supreme, of he who took away the with self-knowledge, knowledge of the self, who took away the wrong consciousness of Arjuna, who with his faulty understanding turned away from the killing of his own people. And when Arjuna looked upon the face of the enemy army, the opposing army. So that's very literal translation. So also, I mean, the application to us is obvious that just as Arjuna had to fight at Kurukshetra, so in this age of Kali, we learn from Lord Chaitanya that we no longer physically fight most of the time. Krishna appeared as a Kshatriya, as a prince. He fought many battles. He engaged the Pandavas in fighting other battles. But Lord Chaitanya came as a sannyasi who was simply preaching and helping people and did not actually kill anyone. So still, as we all know, it is a real struggle to spread Krishna consciousness in this age. And therefore, we should not turn away from that struggle because we're afraid that someone may not like it, or maybe our relatives, might prefer that we're doing other things, or we just don't want to. It's funny because in the early days of the movement, we were very exotic and very aggressive, sort of a bad combination, right? Exotic and aggressive. And so, and then devotees, of course, we were all very young. So you see thousands of devotees as they got older and the movement sort of slowed down for various reasons. It's sort of like a balancing thing. Like if you've gone without food for some time and you finally get food, you really appreciate that food, or you become attached to that food. So in the same way, for years, in the early days of the movement, devotees basically lived a life where many people in the public, not most people, thought we were a little crazy, or maybe more than a little, especially after Jonestown. Jonestown really changed everything. All those people were killed in that cult. So having a certain minimum level of respect in society is really a basic human need. I mean, there's some people that kind of like love to be freaky and want to be very exotic, but even those people want to be accepted by their fellow exotics. So, but it's a basic human need. So after having spent so many years of our life, our youth, being sort of, ridiculed and attacked sometimes and rejected for so long in public, when devotees get older, a lot of times they really almost, they need to balance their lives by being respectable in society. They don't want to be freaks. They don't want to be weird. They want to be normal. And so going out and preaching is not normal. I mean, most people don't go out in public and preach. And so there's this reluctance. I've had many devotees say to me, well, when I tell them we need people to join the movement, they say, oh, we don't really, want people to join. We just want to make friends. And yeah, making friends is very nice, but if people don't join, we won't be successful. We won't carry out Prabhupada's mission if people don't actually, and even as I've said so many times, social science shows that a movement really grows by growing its core, su nucleo. So in a sense, because when you go out to preach, you're sort of giving up that comfortable position where you're just a normal, respectable member of society. And some people, when you go out to preach, it's like, don't preach to me. I mean, not that we should be clever and diplomatic and intelligent and try to give people knowledge in a way that's easy for them to digest. But still, when you really become a missionary, you're not a normal person. Normal people aren't missionaries. And so, in a sense, that's one of our struggles. Especially, if we become kind of comfortable just being normal, respectable members of society, to really become missionaries again. Especially the vanaprasthas. Another point I wanted to make is I really believe that one of the great strengths of this movement, which is not being fully mobilized, is the vanaprastha ashram. In ISKCON with Prabhupada, we had a very well-defined brahmacharya ashram. Everyone knows what a brahmachari is, or brahmacharini. Everyone knows what that is. Everyone knows what a grihastha is. And everyone knows what a sannyasi is. So these things we know very well. The fuzzy gray area of ISKCON is the line between grihastha and vanaprastha. So I thought I would try to throw some light on that. Basically, if your children are grown, if you raise your children and they're grown up and they're adults and they have their own lives, you are not a grihastha. You are not a grihastha. You are a vanaprastha. And the reason this is important is because vanaprastha, which literally means vana means to the forest, and prastha, departing. So they even use, in Indian airports, in Sanskritic, Bengali, Hindi or Bengali, you go to the airport and there's two lines like arrivals, departures. So that's how they say departures, even at the airport, prasthan. So the prastha means departing for the forest. So, of course, the forest in this age is the preaching field, because that's where we experience Vrindavan most intensely on the field of preaching. Prabhupada said he wanted to die in the battlefield. He, of course, left this world Vrindavan because his health didn't permit him, but he was trying to get back out to preach. So I believe that ISKCON could make tremendous advancement if we more clearly defined vanaprastha ashram. Again, if your children are grown, you're not a grihastha. You should not call yourself a grihastha. Other people should not call you that. It's like I'm a sannyasi, so I can't call myself something else. I was a brahmachari once, I was a grihastha once, but that's not what I am now. I'm a sannyasi. Well, I'm not a sannyasi, but that's the order I'm in. So similarly, if your children are grown, you are not a grihastha according to Vedic culture. You are a vanaprastha, and therefore you should be thinking very hard about how you can best spread Prabhupada's movement. Because that's the real essence of vanaprastha, is focusing again intensely on spiritual life, spiritual advancement. As we know, the fastest way to advance is by doing valuable service for Prabhupada. And that means preaching. So, do the next verse. Still Bhisma speaking. Swanigamam apahaya mat pratigyam ratam adhikartum avapluto ratasta drita rata charano Abhyayat Chalagur Harir Hantum Ibham Gatotariya. Really nice. So this verse says that it's a very interesting verse. So it begins Swandigamam. Nigama literally means going into something, like going deep, going into something, and it comes to mean the Vedas. Like in the third verse of the Bhagavatam, Nigama kalpataror galitang phalam, and so on. So in Sanskrit, the Nigama can mean the place or passage, especially the Vedas, where a word occurs or the actual word quoted from such a passage. The Veda, or the Vedic text, any work auxiliary to and explanatory of the Vedas, a sacred precept, the words of a god or holy man. So really, so Swanigamam here, because as we know, whatever Krishna says is Shastra. I mean, whatever he teaches. So Krishna's Leela could say, I'm hungry. That's, I mean, not philosophical Shastra, but whatever Krishna declares, whatever Krishna states is Shastra, or his own word, giving his own word. So Swanigamam here, Bhisma is talking about when Krishna gave his word, his sacred word, that he would not fight at Kurukshetra. So that was his promise. The Prabhupada translates Swanigamam, his own truthfulness. And that's in the word for word. In the verse translation, his own promise. So promise, his words, and so on. So apahaya, casting away, literally. Apa means away, and haya means sort of throwing or casting. So apahaya, swanigam, casting away. Prabhupada said for nullifying or sacrificing. So casting away his own promise, and mat pratigyam, and my promise, ritam adhikartum, to make it truth. Actually, the word Prabhupada says in the word for word more for doing it. I'll explain what that's all about. So kartum means to make something. Adi means above. So it's like to make it, to place it above. So Bhisma is saying that Krishna, casting aside his own vow or his own statement that he wouldn't fight at Kurukshetra, and to make my promise, which was that, my promise was that Krishna, you'll have to fight with me, to make my promise a higher truth. Because what Krishna said is true, I won't fight. But then out of love for his devotee, he made his devotees, he wants to make his devotees promise literally to make it a higher truth. Rita Madhikartum. So Ava Pluto, he leaped down, he jumped down. Ava Pluto, he jumped down, he was Ratasta, he was standing on his chariot, but he jumped down, Drita Rata Charana, and he picked up and held. A charana can mean feet, but it also means wheel. Because charana literally means going, is what makes something go. So what makes you go are your feet. What makes a chariot go are its wheels. And so therefore, Rata Charana means chariot wheel. So he held up a chariot wheel as like a chakra. There's famous paintings of Krishna where he's holding up a chariot wheel as if it's his own chakra. And so he jumped down from his chariot, and abhyayat, he attacked. Abhyayat literally means he went toward. So there are various words in Sanskrit that mean sort of to go at someone, which means to attack. So abhyayat, chalad gur, shaking the earth. Krishna was this wonderful pastime. He was angry, literally. So he jumps off his chariot. And because it's the Battle of Kurukshetra, there's like thousands of chariot wheels all over the field, because there are literally thousands and thousands of chariots being attacked and destroyed. And there's human body parts, there's chariot parts, and swords that were dropped, and broken spears and arrows. I mean, it's a battlefield just covered with all the stuff from the battle. So there's like chariot wheels all over the place in the battlefield. So Krishna jumps down from his chariot, grabs a chariot wheel, which is, and literally goes after Bhisma. And as he goes after him, he's shaking the earth by his steps. So Chalat means moving, like making the earth tremble. And Hari, the word Hari in Sanskrit can also mean a lion. Like in Narahari, right? The man lion, Narahari. And so Hariva, like a lion. He in other words, I've actually been attacked by a lion. I had that pleasure. I went with Guru Prasad Swami. I don't know if he was a sannyasi then, but that was many, many years ago. We went to Chanchapa, and there are very few parks. We went to the Caracas Zoo. And so we went to the lion cage, and for some reason, maybe it was the color, because we were dressed in saffron. We went to the lion cage, and this male lion literally just went crazy. He saw us and just went into a rage, and it was really us. I guess maybe he was like, he didn't like doties or something. But anyway, so this lion was like roaring and like throwing itself against. Fortunately, there was a fence, but it was only a chain link fence. It wasn't like, it didn't look like a super serious fence. But this lion was just like hurling its body against the fence, trying to get at us. And then it went back to the way back in the cage where it has a little house or something. And Mrs. Lion, you could see, came up to him and saying, "Calm down, dear. We're in a zoo." But he didn't want to hear about it. So then he went into his crouch, and then when they're going to attack, went into his tack position, and then ran straight at us and just threw himself against the fence, just trying to get us. So I actually had the experience of being attacked, and I was like this far from the fence. I remember when the lion came and threw itself on the fence, there was a lady next to us with a child, and she had a bag. She'd been shopping, and she literally dropped her bag on the ground because it was so shocking. And I was thinking, well, not everything works in Venezuela, but I hope that the fence works. So the lions, they have a certain way where they attack, and so Bhisma is saying that Krishna was like that. Hadiriva, he went after. Krishna came after me, abhyayat, like a lion shaking the earth, and to kill me. And he says, like a lion, hantumibam, hantum, tum in Sanskrit, like we had adhikar tum is the infinitive form, to kill. So like a lion to kill ibam, an elephant. So when a lion's going after an elephant, and as he was running, gadotariya, uttara means above, ut, if you want a little Sanskrit here, ut means up in Sanskrit, and uttara means like higher up, very up. And so uttariya means the upper cloth, because India's trouble because of people wearing these upper cloths, wrapped around. And so Krishna's upper cloth, he lost his upper cloth because he was running like a lion to kill an elephant. So even his upper cloth fell off, and so you see Krishna in the paintings, bare-chested, and just going after Bhisma, holding this chariot wheel. So that's what Bhisma is describing. And for Bhisma, this is ecstasy, because he's a warrior, and to be able to play with Krishna like this is what he wanted. There are different rasas with Krishna. So then Sita Bichika Hato. So Krishna had been pierced by or struck by sharp arrows. What we have to remember is that being a chariot driver was an extremely dangerous occupation for various reasons. I mean, at the beginning of Kurukshetra, the Mahabharata, it's like before a soccer game or a football game, the team captains meet and agree on the rules. So before Kurukshetra, the generals, all the big, the generals, they met in the middle of the battlefield to agree on the rules. And one of the rules was you don't attack a chariot driver. And everyone followed this rule for about the first 45 seconds. And then they didn't. So there's actually three ways. I mean, there's various ways. There's three ways that, just thinking about, the chariot driver can be killed on a battlefield. I'm just thinking about it now. One way is that someone on the other side just kills you. And that happened a lot, because despite people weren't following the rules, it was almost Kali Yuga. So chariot drivers sometimes, and they're defenseless, they're because in a battlefield, you've got horses, maybe 1, 2 horses, maybe 4 horses. And, these are big military horses. These are powerful horses. And so you've got to control 4 horses, and you've got to, stop very quickly, because what if right in front of you is death, or to the sides? So to control 2 or 3 or 4 horses on a battlefield where people are trying to kill the horses. A lot of horses were killed, trying to kill you, trying to break your chariot and to move the chariot. And the warrior on your chariot is just like screaming at you, because otherwise, how's anyone going to hear? How's he going to hear you? How are you going to hear him? He's like shouting, stop, or go to the right, or go to the left, or go back. And so everyone's shouting. There's like millions of people screaming. And there's the sound of the chariots and the conch shells and bugles and the battle, and just, people are screaming because they're being killed. They're screaming because they're killing, and all that. And so, it's, wow. I mean, that's a battlefield. And there are extremely graphic descriptions in the Bhagavatam and in the Mahabharata, these battlefields, and they're not a place for weak hearts. So, here you are driving your chariot, you're holding the reins, trying to control these powerful, like fighting horses, and and there's like thousands of people around you that are basically trying to kill you. So it's and then of course your chariot warrior is trying to protect you and also kill the others. So there's defense and offense. So there's that's one way you can be killed. Another way is by friendly fire. Friendly fire means you're in a battle, and because the people on your side are just shooting, firing away, you can be hit by a weapon from your own side. And that happens all the time. And that's called friendly fire. So people are killed. Actually, a lot of people are killed by their own people sometimes. Because, it's like, it's a, you got your enemy in sight, you're firing an arrow, but as you're firing the arrow, suddenly someone on your side, races across the scene and takes the arrow. Like they're intercepted passes in football, right? So, that happens. So you can be killed by an enemy. You can be killed by friendly fire. You can be accidentally killed by an enemy. Let's say, for example, one of the enemy fighters is trying to kill your chariot fighter or someone else. And just as he's releasing his arrow, let's say someone pushes him, or someone bumps into his chariot, or someone hits him with an arrow. And so the arrow goes off. So you can be accidentally killed by the enemy. You can be accidentally killed by your own side, and you can be intentionally killed by the enemy. So, and you can kill yourself. You can, maybe it's a battle. There's like thousands or millions of people running around. You can be driving your chariot and just drive it into, an elephant or something, and just have a high-speed collision. Or you can have, imagine chariots going, high speed, maybe they're going like 20, 25 miles an hour, and another chariot going like that, and they just crash into each other. So that's like, impact, and there's all the ropes and the leather and all the weapons, and it's just, it's a mess. It's unbelievable. So that's what it means to be a chariot driver. So therefore, that's what it said here. Krishna had been struck by sharp arrows. Shita means sharp, and Vishika means arrows. Shita Vishika hato, Vishirna Dangsha. Prabhupada translates Dangsha, scattered shield. Dangsha in the dictionary literally means the armor. So the shield, but it's like, they were wearing military armor. And Vishirna actually means broken, shattered. So Krishna's shield or his armor had been shattered or broken. And then Vishirna Dangsha. Dangsha generally means armor, or in this case, Prabhupada translates it shield. So Kshataja Paripluta. And he was smeared with Paripluta, Kshataja. Kshataja means blood, because Kshata is an injury, and Ja, like something that comes from an injury, born of an injury, which is blood. So Kshata, so Krishna's his armor, he's pierced by arrows, his armor has been broken, he's covered with blood. Krishna's really in the battle. And Atatai Nome. So So prasabang, violently, Prabhupada translated in angry mood, violently, abi sasara. Again, we had abi ayat. Again, we have abi, the same word abi, which means at something or at someone, and sasara. He went after me. He went at me. He attacked me. Madbadartam. He went after me to kill me. His purpose, with the intention of killing me. Madvada, which means an artha means for the purpose of madvada, of killing me. So, and actually it's interesting because actually it says, because atataino me, which means of me, of the aggressor. So Krishna was struck by the sharp arrows, my sharp arrows. So here Bhisma is actually saying that I'm the one that struck Krishna with sharp arrows. I'm the one that broke his armor. And so Krishna, he's covered with blood from these arrows, and he's going after the aggressor. So Bhisma said, I was the aggressor. He's going after me now. Prasabang, and he violently, aggressively attacked me. Madbadartam, to kill me. His purpose was to kill me. So sa bhavatu me bhagavan, may that Lord, sa bhagavan, that Lord, may that Lord, Mukunda, be, bhavatu, may he be my goal, my destination. So this is Bhisma's meditation. I'll do maybe one more verse today, and then if there's any questions, we'll see if there are any. So Bijaya Rata Kutumba, Atatotre. So Dritahaya Rashmi Tat Shri Saniye Bhagavati Rakti Rastume. So Kutumba can mean family. It often means family, but also because a family is very dear to someone, Kutumba can mean like whatever is most dear to you, like like your family. So Vijayarata Kutumba. And so here Prabhupada translates it that Arjuna's chariot was an object of protection at all risk. So Prabhupada in the verse says he was very careful to give protection to Arjuna's chariot. So Krishna took Arjuna's chariot, which means Arjuna too, Arjuna and his chariot as Kutumba, that which most had to be, Krishna was an ideal chariot driver who takes the safety of the chariot fighter and the chariot as everything. So Atatotre, he took a whip. He took up a whip, and Dritahaya Rashmini, and he was holding. So he had a whip, and he had the reins of the horses. Haya Rashmini. So he had a whip and the reins of the horses, and Tatshriya Ikshaniye, and with that beauty, he was very beautiful. He was very beautiful to look upon. Because Krishna, remember, he has this like a dark blue rain cloud. His body, his yellow clothes, has got this red blood. Pastime. He's just sort of, pretending. He has this blood from the wounds from Bhisma's weapons. He's got a whip with reins in one hand and the whip in the other hand. And Bhisma's saying he's just beautiful. And so Bhagavati, and that Lord, Rati Rastu Me, let my Rati, let my love, again he says, let my love, my attachment be unto that Lord, me who am Mumurshur. Mumurshur means literally one who wishes to die. And of course, he probably translates it here, one who's about to die. It can also mean one about to die, on the verge of dying. But literally means, from the desiderative form of the verb, one who wishes or desires to die. And we have to remember that Bhisma has the boon given by his father Shantanu of Chandamrityu. He can die whenever he wants. He can choose the moment of his death. And so because Bhisma now is just surrendering to Krishna, so he literally is one who wants to die. He's chosen this. He wants to die on the battlefield, fighting Krishna, which is his ecstatic meditation to fight with Krishna. And so yami haniriksha hata gata sarupam. So let my love be for him. Here on the battlefield, iha, niriksha, gazing upon whom? In other words, Krishna, I want my love to be for the Lord, gazing upon whom? Hata gata sarupam, this is a very important verse. All those who were killed, hata gata, they went swarupam, to their swarupas. So here Bhisma is saying that all the people there who were killed or died on that battlefield, gazing upon Krishna, which is not all the soldiers, because some of them died. I mean, the battlefield was, it went for miles, because if you have a battle with millions of soldiers, we're talking about miles of battlefield. And yet those who died gazing upon Krishna, hata gata, they went to their spiritual bodies, their sarupas. So there's more to say about Bhisma, but for now, I'll end there. And let's see, are there any questions? Thank you all for your encouraging comments. Let's see. Don't see any question marks yet. Maybe everyone's just having a good time and no questions. That's also good. Here's a question from Leela Kar. Hare Krishna. As we go through our devotional careers, we may encounter false arguments, etc., literally and or self-evidently destroy any positive momentum. Well, then we have to be intelligent of the movement of Lord Chaitanya. I mean, if we are faked out by false arguments, we're not paying enough attention. How can we develop an ideal attitude? These situations, Krishna consciousness. We have to chant nicely. We have to study seriously, hear from advanced devotees, and not be fooled by nonsense, basically. Eduardo Guerrero. So I'll translate from the Spanish. Is there some relation between the Swadharma and Sanatan Dharma, or Sarupa Siddhi? I ask this because it would be difficult to imagine, for example, that a great and valiant warrior like Bhisma Dev had an eternal relationship with Krishna, a very mild relationship. Sarupa Siddhi, of course, is a perfection of our spiritual body. Sanatan Dharma, or Swadharma, in this world, Swadharma refers to the Dharma which is based on the body type we have. So that's the way that's the way the word is generally used in the Bhagavatam or the Gita, Swakarma, which means Swadharma there. That we all have a certain nature, certain gender, age, vocational aptitude or inclination. So we follow that. That's the Swadharma. Sanatan Dharma means who we are eternally. So can Bhisma eternally fight with Krishna if he wants? I mean, the main point here is that Krishna satisfies his pure devotees. So if that's what Bhisma wants to do, then it could become his Sanatan Dharma, not only his Swadharma. So Krishna Priya, since Bhisma worshipped Krishna in the mood of a warrior, where in the spiritual world would he reside according to his rasa? Yeah, it's sort of the same topic. We don't hear about, fighting going on in the spiritual world. One option for Bhisma would be to travel around with Krishna to various planets and universes and do this within this world for the benefit of the fallen souls. So, but I've never heard about people fighting with Krishna in the spiritual world, other than the cowherd boys. But of course, that's just kind of little wrestling matches among friends. But as far as this kind of serious fighting, I haven't heard about that in the spiritual world. So, Gary Stevenson, Lord Krishna took on all this danger just out of love for his friend Arjuna. Our envious critics launch such offense towards Krishna. How do we tolerate and accept that? Well, we don't tolerate it, we leave. A devotee, second-class devotee, worships the Lord, makes friendship with devotees, tries to help the innocent, and avoids the demonic. So we avoid people like that. See. Oh, I see Anna Sophia there. Oh, there's Miss Mahavir's wife is there. Anyway, thank you all for listening. Let's see, one more question. Should we try to follow the way of Bhisma or avoid it? We should try to be ourselves. If you, by some coincidence, have a very similar nature to Bhisma, but then there's no Krishna to fight now. I mean, and also Bhisma, he's a pure devotee, but fighting for Duryodhana wasn't the greatest idea in the world. And in fact, that's a problem, that Bhisma's fighting to the wrong side. So, and even in the Bhagavad Gita, Prabhupada says that Bhisma and Drona lost their respectability as elders because they fought to the wrong side. So this is a very special case 5,000 years ago. In this age, in general, we don't engage in violence, and certainly not against Krishna. It's just not the mood of this age. That's what someone really wants, then, maybe some special arrangement we made somehow, some future. So, Sankarsana, thank you very much for your exciting. Well, I'm glad you liked it. How do we understand that some individuals in the battle attained liberation without cultivating an appropriate attitude? Well, that's not true. Anyone that attained their Sarupa did cultivate an appropriate relationship at some point in their life. They may be appearing in a theatrical sense, as warriors fighting against Krishna or the Pandavas, but there are no freebies really. That's tried to explain that in relation to the concept of a Gatsukri. There are no freebies because Krishna, as he emphasizes over and over and over again in the Bhagavad Gita, is equal to everyone, fair to everyone. So if someone hata gata sarupam, someone attained their spiritual body, they deserved it, even if they were playing a certain part in this Leela. Free lunch liberation. No, actually, they didn't get a free lunch liberation. Oh, Brahmatirtha. Does Bhisma regret his choice to fight on the losing side? Very interesting. I've thought a lot about that, and he doesn't express that in his prayers, interestingly, that I'm aware of. He doesn't say, oh my God, I really made a big mistake. He doesn't say that in his prayers. And of course, when Bhisma starts his prayers, as I pointed out, the first the Pandavas go there, and Yudhisthira goes there, and Yudhisthira feels bad. And so Bhisma, and he asks questions. So when Bhisma's on the bed of arrows and everyone comes to him, the first stage, Yudhisthira asks him questions, and Bhisma gives Yudhisthira a course on, as I said, sociology, political science, social science. But then Bhisma realizes that time for him to leave is coming, the Uttarayana, as Krishna describes in chapter 8 of the Gita. The sun has reached its lowest point, the winter solstice, and now it's about to start moving back toward the north, at least in the northern hemisphere, not in the southern hemisphere. And so Bhisma is preparing now to leave. So as he prepares to leave, he puts aside sort of all these earthly things. He doesn't want to talk about social science, political science. He just wants to fix his mind in Krishna. It's like, I'm done. I just want to fix my mind on Krishna. So in a sense, at that time, he is transcending whatever he was or did before. He's transcending all that, because obviously, as a pure devotee, he was playing a part in this great theater. He was helping Krishna to exhibit all these pastimes, but now he's putting all that aside, and he just wants to fully fix his mind in Krishna with love and devotion. And so in that mood, there are no apologies. He doesn't say, sorry, I fought on the wrong side. So I think that's it. Thank you all for your comments. Thank you all for watching. And hopefully the earth will still exist next Sunday and we will still be here. And, Natalie Santos, I didn't see any question. Oh, there's just one question mark. Can we have a balance between the scientific facts we learned at the university and all the knowledge that we have from the Vedic books? Yes, of course we can. I wrote a paper called Understanding Prabhupada. It's at hdgoswami.com. And please read that. And it talks a lot about how to adjust sort of external facts for science and so on, and what we read in the Shastra. So please read that essay. And if you have any further questions, you can write to me. So thank you all. Thank you all for listening. And I hope we'll all be back together on Sunday. I hope you all are careful. Take care of yourselves and people around you. Hare Krishna.